Good players.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of Football Kentron. I am your host, Aram, and I am joined by the usual suspects, Chadens and Armen. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the news around Armenian football in the past couple of weeks. We will be giving our predictions for the upcoming World Cup qualifier squads, and we will be answering some listener questions that we received on social media. All right, let's get started. So first, we're going to start with the Armenian Premier League. The table is looking a lot different now than it was the last time when we had discussed the league. Ararat Yerevan is still currently top with 25 points, and Ararat Armenia, who we had felt are the nearest title contenders, are fourth in the table despite being the wealthiest club. Now, speaking of Ararat Armenia, they decided to part ways with their manager, David Campagna, the Spaniard, and Armen Adamian was appointed as caretaker manager. Looking at the record that David Campagna has, he's played or managed 18 matches. He's won 8, drawn 4, and lost 6. This seems like maybe it is a bit of a harsh take on the Ararat Armenia board deciding to sack Campagna. However, we know that Ararat Armenia has European aspirations, and they have lost in the Europa League playoffs twice in a row now, and I think they want to make that final push with a manager that they believe in rather than someone that maybe they don't have full confidence in. So it may seem a little premature, but I think whoever they appoint as their next manager is going to be very, very telling.
Yeah.
Admen, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Ararat Armenia and Noah and their relationship to Armenian football?
In the last couple of years, the last year or so, Ararat Armenia and Noah, being the two wealthiest clubs in Armenia, have become sort of like the new rich boys in town, and it's become kind of like the new derby, like 21st century derby in the Armenian Premier League. And so far, kind of like Ararat Armenia seems to have the advantage when it comes to tournaments, to winning like long format leagues. But Noah won most head-to-heads, and of course the Armenian Cup and the Super Cup. So yeah, that's kind of a new rivalry between them that has been going on. And speaking of Noah, we got Jordi Ararat, that's the Armenian defender / midfielder, who we're going to be talking about because he's scored a nice goal with a very smart finish, in my opinion, from barely outside the box. So yeah, Noah are fit, and Ararat is one of their main players right now. But speaking of Ararat Armenia losing stuff to Noah, we have to go to Noah's actually new or newest player. That happens to be no other than former Ararat Armenia captain Petros Avedisyan. What happened with the talented number 10 that Armenia has is that he had a pretty good campaign in Kazakhstan, 12 games or so, and 4 goal participations overall, 1 goal participation every 3 games, which is nice. But during the last few months in Kazakhstan, he fell out of favor with his coach and was let go by a team that was facing some financial difficulties. And he started having negotiations with the Russian Premier League newcomers, Tambov, the team where Karabedyan and Haroyan used to play. And those negotiations broke down, sadly, because basically Tambov is facing financial trouble of their own and are having a very harsh time maintaining their spot in the Russian Premier League. So they couldn't go through with the deal. Petros Avedisyan ended up signing with Noah that basically met his needs. So speaking of Tambov, though, the team where Tigran Avanesyan is undergoing his first senior Russian Premier League season, Tambov, we're talking about, lost 2-0 at Dynamo Moscow. But for the home side, this is a great news for all of us, and you have been seeing this on our social media. If you haven't followed us yet, do, because no other than 17-year-old Arsen Zakharyan got the assist for the first goal for Dynamo Moscow. Who is this kid? 17 years old, you heard that right. Central midfielder, of course, Russian citizenship, but that doesn't matter. He's really Armenian. Even though he might play for Russia, I mean, it's almost certain that he will. But still, he is groundbreaking. Like 17 years old, and in 2 consecutive games, 1 goal and 1 assist in the Russian Premier League. Like, we're talking about one of the best leagues in Europe. And this kid, this 17-year-old teenager, is not even a striker. He's a central mid. He is already doing great things. This kid is, trust us, he's going to go a long way. And it doesn't matter whether he'll represent us or Russia. He will make us proud. But we still have some news in the Russian Premier League because luckily, and this is a big sigh for all of us, Arshak Goryan is back in full health and even signed a contract extension with Khimki's team until 2023. I'm thinking, and this is me talking, it's probably a plus 1 or 2 million euro or dollars sale coming up for Arshak because he's very, very talented and he's got bigger things like looking for him, and he's most likely gonna make a push. And every team in Europe would be lucky to have him on board. So we're looking forward to Arshak having a great season, a steady recovery now that he's back in full health. And there is actually more Armenian national team players giving us some news to talk about. But this time in Kazakhstan, what happened in Kazakhstan, Charins?
We had the clash of the Armenians in Kazakhstan. For the Kazakh Super Cup, Astana beat Shakhtar 2-0. Digo Vasserian scored the opener and was awarded man of the match, which is amazing. And Vataharian kept a clean sheet, another amazing stat. For the losing side, though, the defensive midfielder duo was composed of Solomon Udo, shout out to him, and non-Armenia who plays for Armenia, a non-Armenian, and Gevorg Najarian, who does not play for Armenia. The bronze match, Kairat 2-1, Shakhtar Kamo did not play. Udo played the whole game. We also had the Super Cup final, which was Tobol Astana, and it went to full-time 1-1. Therefore, Tobol won with 5-4 score in penalties. Tobol is coached by the Armenian Grigori Babayan, who became Kazakh super champions. After 6 years of being the assistant coach in Astana, this is the first time that the 40-year-old Grigori, as a senior head coach, he's managing and already winning silverware. Vato and Diko played the full game in the runners-up as well, which is great news. Going to France in Europe, Montpellier manager is Armenian, if you guys did not know. His name is Michel Derzakarian. He also used to play for the same team. He's on an 8-match unbeaten run, including a 2-1 win away to Lyon and a 2-1 win at home to Rennes. Those are amazing stats, if you think about it. And Montpellier sits 7th in the league with 40 points, 4 behind Lens, who hold the final European spot. It will be great to see another Armenian manager managing in European tournament. And some unfortunate news, though. Armenia futsal team lost 5-0 in Tbilisi, Georgia on Saturday. They don't have any wins yet. They only have 1 point in the Euro qualifiers. However, on Wednesday they play their next game, hoping they win.
I believe
Yeah,
the
I don't like bad news though. I don't like bad news.
Who
well,
does?
they have as their second leg against, not second leg per se, but their second match in the doubleheader against Georgia tomorrow, I believe, as from the time of recording. But by the time this goes out, that results will already be out as well. So hopefully, looking back,
Yeah,
we
but
could say,
still,
yeah, let's cut this up. Let's say, yay, Armenia beat
I mean,
Georgia the
a
second time, or Armenia
a
lost
five
again.
nil defeat. Yeah, I mean, a 5-0 defeat is tough to get to beat. Like it's difficult to turn that around.
Well, let's take us to some good news, Armen.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Adam. Yeah. Phew. Okay. Enough. Now let's change the energies. Good news. Armenia women's national team starlet Mara Lartin, about whom we have talked last podcast. She signed his she's great. I mean, big time future. 20 years old. We're talking about 20 years old, guys. I spoke about Arzen Sakharian, 17, Mara Lartin, 20. She signed with a Spanish management agency that has players all over La Liga clubs. And I'm talking about big La Liga clubs from Levante, Rayo Vallecano, Real Sociedad, up to Atletico Madrid, Valencia, you name it. So, as I was flirting with a move for Arshak Gorian, is there a move to Spain for Mara Lartin? Maybe,
Yes.
who knows?
Why
I
not?
mean, that's what I'm thinking, Who knows? And sky's the limit. So over to more good news involving Armenian national teams. The Football Federation of Armenia appointed Yura Movsisyan, our beloved Yura, the Urminator, as Football Federation of Armenia representative in North America. So Adam, you're gonna be having Yura in your neighborhood, doing some great work, I assume. And for us in South America, we got Marcos Piselli as the Football Federation of Armenia representative. The tasks and projects for both Yura in the north and Marcos in the south of this side of the Atlantic would basically include identifying Armenian football talents in this continent, in this hemisphere, establish talks for potentially representing Armenian national team for these players, because as everybody knows, we have a large diaspora with a huge potential. So that's got to be dealt with. That's got to be used. They also could develop partnerships between the FFA and, of course, the affiliated clubs to football clubs here. For instance, the Alaskat Botafogo partnership that happened a few years ago. Make transfers from and to Armenia. There's a lot they could do. So yeah, with the nearly 1 million Armenians in France, perhaps close to another million Armenians in the rest of Europe. Who knows? I mean, I'm just throwing ideas out here. Maybe
I think these are the
Europe
biggest
office.
news. Yep.
I mean, yeah, a Europe office should open soon.
Yeah.
I mean, it should follow. And
Well-
Challenge, that's you in Europe.
Well, maybe if we look, I think if we just do a little bit of like connections, the football federation president, recently had a meeting with Yuri Zhorkaev, and maybe this is what that was about. Opening
Here
something
we
up on the
go.
European front.
I mean,
I think this is the
I-
biggest news,
I think
so
that-
far.
And we
a
got a
million
little bit more.
Armenians in France. Come on.
Yeah, and we got a little bit more information this time around versus back when they announced it with Yura. The Football Federation stated that it is for trying to find diasporan Armenian players to come play for the Armenian national team. So
Yeah, at
that's
the very least.
yeah, so that's the role. Well, that wraps it up for the news. That was a lot of news. Every single time whenever we're recording these episodes, we always think like, oh, we're doing this every couple of weeks. There can't be that much to talk about, but there's always so much to talk about.
And there's
The
always
whole world
big
out
ones.
there.
And this
Mhm.
next month is going to be even more crazy. But let's go on to the nice meaty middle portion of this episode, which is squad
Oh
predictions.
yeah.
So the Armenian national team has 3 upcoming matches for the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. We are away to Liechtenstein, at home to Iceland, followed by at home to Romania. These 3 matches are going to be taking place near the end of March and span approximately 7 days. So we're going to need a very strong squad of players to be able to play 3 matches in 7 days. So we had tasked ourselves, and I had challenged Football Kentron to try to predict who Joaquin Caparros will call up for the national team squad. Now, before we get into this, let's quickly note that this is the first time that Joaquin Caparros is going to have an almost entirely healthy set of players ever. He's been manager for over a year now. Okay, he doesn't have Gevor Ghazarian, who is out.
He
due
doesn't
to
have
injury.
Forik.
Well, Bayramian, that the thing with him is, considering it's 3 matches in 7 days, and he is in, I believe, team training. He had done individual training, I had seen. There is very much possibility that his club is going to be okay with him going, because he will also get some match time as well. Considering there are 3 games, if he has some form of fitness up to when national team camp starts, I think he would get called up. But
It
anyway,
would be great. We need him.
let's start off with you, Charents. Give us your squad prediction.
Well, with the goalkeepers, I've got a 3 different from 3 different teams: Yurchenko, Beglarian, and Shahaduni. I think he's gonna be deciding between 3 different clubs. I was going to actually predict that he would get 2 from Urartu, but I think I'll stick with 1. Defenders, the casual team, definitely. They're always stable. Hampartsumyan, Kalisir, Haroyan, Hovanesyan, Grigorian, Hagopian, Voskanyan, Ishkanyan. They're all covered for me, definitely. There's no doubt about that. However, I hope the issue with having 3 games in a week manages it all. The midfielders, Udo and Webemar, for sure are going to be there. Grigorian, Muradian, Kadimian, Gorian, Bichakchan, Barserian, Mkhitaryan. I say that a little slightly, unfortunately. Spertsan, for sure, for me, he's coming. And Hovanesyan.
What do you mean? What do you mean about Mkhitaryan though? What happened?
He might just decide to not come again.
Yeah.
Like how he did last time.
I was trying to dig into that, yeah.
Jesus.
But the strikers, attackers, Karapetyan and Adamyan. Adamyan, okay, he's not on great form because of, Hoffenheim manager. But anyway, I think he's still gonna come. So.
Okay, that's a good
Yeah,
solid
of course.
squad. Let's pick apart his squad a little bit. I don't know if it's wishful thinking on my end, but I don't want to see Voskanyan or Ishkanyan in this squad.
I was thinking like that too.
But again, that's
honest.
more wishful thinking than
Yeah.
mafioso power. So
I sadly have to agree.
yeah,
Me
Once
too.
the might is made. Yeah.
I think when I was making my squad, I was looking at Kadimian and I was thinking, is this guy gonna get called up? Because he didn't get called up on the last set, and I know that was likely because of match fitness, and he also hasn't played like any games since the Nations League either. He just started training with the club a couple weeks ago, but I don't know. But I think purely because of Ghazarian's injury, I think he might be coming in. But anyway, while I'm talking, let me get into my squad. So for the goalkeeping options, I think it's going to be Yurchenko, of course. He's our number 1, and followed by Ivazov and Beglarian. So I think we're going to get that Urartu pair. I wouldn't be opposed to dropping Ivazov for Shahatuni just to have some sort of like variety, considering I think Beglarian has been playing the majority of Urartu matches. I think you may be more correct in Shahatuni getting called up. Defensively speaking, I have, I believe, like an exactly identical list to yours, except I want, this is more, less of a prediction, more of a me wanting Ararat instead of Ishkanyan, because he can also play center back and defensive mid and right wing back. He's a super versatile defender, and today he scored a fantastic goal, not only because he made a very good run, but also because of the his awareness in intercepting the ball in the midfield. So I think because we have obviously Hambar Zuman as our starting fullback, I think having someone like Ararat come in that could play right back and center back, and also he's a native Spanish speaker because he comes from Colombia. It'll be really easy communication with Caparros. I really, really want to see him in this team. Because I think he'll do very, very well with a good manager.
Yeah. Fluidity.
Exactly. Fluidity is something that we're kind of, not that we're missing, but something that we could always improve upon.
No, it's adapting to it. Yep.
For midfield, I have number one on my list is Mkhitaryan because of course he's going to be second is Spertian because we know.
Yeah, it's the name.
Spertian, we already know, it was announced last month he's coming. Korian recently got back to injury. Barserian, who's, I mean, at this point, indispensable. And, you know, when I was making this squad, I looked at the starting 11s in all 6 Nations League matches. The only match we lost, which was the first match against Macedonia, Barserian started that match on the bench.
Okay.
So, I remember.
That's a key fact.
So, and he's played every game since, and he's had a contribution since. So I think he's a shoo-in to be in. I think he's definitely going to be a starter. Grigorian, Udo, to make up the defensive midfield partnership. I don't think Wabemar is going to get called up. He wasn't in the last Armenia squad. He was for the match. So I don't know if there's some sort of injury there. I don't know. But if he is fit and healthy, I think he would get called up for sure.
2 weeks. We still got 2 weeks. So yeah.
Same with Baydamyan, who I have on my list, and Kadimian. I had Ghazarian, Muradian, and Papikian as alternatives. But Ghazarian obviously is injured now. Muradian, I think, would be a fantastic defensive option to have. Defensive midfield. And then for my Papikian, because he's one of the most informed players right now in the league. But then after having a conversation with Armen, where we were like, you know what, do we really want to start going back to these old people that are like flops, whatever? I think we have enough attacking talent to not need Papikian. Up top, Karapetyan, who missed a penalty yesterday. I don't know if you guys. And then Adamyan, who literally hardly plays anymore. So
that sounds so bad.
That's not a great way to put it.
When you put it that way, it sounds terrible. But I don't know, man.
We'll see. Sign him up.
I imagine. You know what's funny? A lot of team players. I've seen this a lot. I've noticed this trend in football. A lot of players that play for like Europa League clubs in random countries. End up can like jump to a higher club in another country like no problem. For example, there are so many players that play in like lower tier Premier League teams. I'm gonna say West Ham, but they're overperforming this season. But like players that play for clubs like West Ham, whatever, like those types of random Premier League clubs, and then they end up like transferring to PSG, and playing Champions League. So. Choupo-Moting, Idrissa Gueye, who played for Everton, and then suddenly he's in PSG Champions League. You know, so you get what I'm saying. So I think it's not it's not unfathomable that Adamian could go from being a bench player in Hoffenheim to being starting in the Champions League for Leipzig. Like that's totally within the realm.
Because it's all the value. It's all the value because of the form. The form drops the value, and the team finds the opportunity to buy the player for a cheaper price.
I'm telling you, man, with Europa League clubs, from wherever they are, they're hugely underappreciated.
I agree.
Yeah.
Armen, walk us through your squad.
Yeah, let's go. So, if we're talking goalkeepers, of course, Yurchenko he's gonna start. I mean, there's no other way around it. But I've noticed that Caparros for the national team, he has never called more than 2 goalkeepers, 1 starter and 1 substitute. He sometimes, I mean, of course, he had a sparing, but for the 21 in-game lists, there was only 1 goalkeeper in the bench. This meaning that the third goalkeeper in the national team camp would be basically left out of the last cut. So for my in-game goalkeepers, I would place Yushchenko starting and Hayrabedian in the bench. The only reason for Hayrabedian not to be on the bench would be that, of course, considering he's healthy, would be because he hasn't started his season in Kazakhstan. So that would be the only reason why, I don't know, some Ivazov could be the substitute goalkeeper, because in my opinion, after Yushchenko and Hayrabedian, now Ivazov is the third best and the one we need the most, even more, way more, in my opinion, than Beglarian. So if not this time, by the next camp, once the Kazakh league is underway and Hayrabedian is starting regularly, he's definitely gonna be ages better than any Armenian Premier League Armenian goalie. So that's about goalkeepers. Jumping on to defense, of course, we have my captain and favorite player, Vato Haroyan. We love you, Vato. And of course, Andrei Chalyshev. What a beast, Andre the Giant. He's been doing great in Greece. And knock on wood, he's still healthy, better in form every day. So that's my starting duo for the center backs. I would have Ishkhanian around because he's not a bad center back, in my opinion. Ages behind Haroyan and Chalyshev, of course, but still decent. Hovo Hampatsumian, of course, that can play. He is a leader and starting right back, but he can also potentially play center back. Serop Grigorian is gonna be called, whether he plays or not. Arman Hovhannisyan.
Okay, sorry to cut you off, but like, why these Punic players, man? They're like one of the worst teams in the league, bro.
Ask Kaparos. Like, ask him.
I mean, if we're looking for other left back options that are currently playing in the Armenian league, the starting fullback for Adana Armenia, let me pull his name up really quick. He's been playing every single game for Adana Armenia, and they're obviously by miles a much better team than Punic any day of the week.
Yeah, but if we're talking Armenian Premier League left backs, Giray Margarian from Ararat Yerevan that are in way better form. Giray Margarian, he's 23 years old, and he has been tearing the left side of the pitch up in Armenia.
Okay, here's who I was thinking of. David Terterian. He plays for Adana Armenia from Galatasaray. He's been starting every single match for Adana Armenia. Take that as you will, but their starting right back Alamau is injured, so he's like taken the spot, and I think he's been arguably performing better. I think a lot of the errors have been coming from central defense for Adana Armenia. Anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think he's yet going to be considered. Maybe he will. I don't know. But Serop is definitely going to be around, whether he plays or not. Kaparos has him as like his talisman, so he keeps him around no matter what. And he hasn't played bad in the last Nations League for Armenia. So yeah, he's one standout performance away from. Of course, in the national team, from a move abroad. Of course, Gamo Hovhannisyan. And to close my defense, Arman Hovhannisyan would be my starting left back. And for what Kaparos did last season, Arman is his starting left back as well. And for my alternatives, if we need replacements, depending on what would be needed, I would call first and foremost Jordi Ararat, of course, because everything you've talked about, Adam, he's very versatile, can play center back and full back. Not to mention he can also play on the wings and the wide midfield. So Ararat would be a great option. You have Artur Danilian, who can also play center back and full back, but lacks the experience that Ararat has. And as I mentioned, Girard Markarian, who is one of the basically hottest prospects in the Armenian Premier League when it comes to fullbacks. On to midfield, I have absolutely decided that my defensive midfield would be Artak Grigorian, the Lion, and Karim Muradian as the most defensive midfielders, one of which is going to start. And his duo, would be chosen between Ubeymar, who, as you said, might not be called up, but we also have a very informed Udo playing in Kazakhstan. And last but not least, as a central/defensive midfielder, we have really talented and young hidden gem in Hagop Hagopian. This kid, is going to go places, and Caparro saw something in him that we were missing. So I'm glad that he has him considered, like he has him around. On to attacking midfield, we have, and I'm excited, very excited to announce that we have Edu Sperțian as the most classic type of number 10 our national team would have. He is one of the few that's, as you said, guys, confirmed for the national team. And of course, Henom Mkhitaryan will be called. We don't know if he's going to travel or not, if he's going to join or not, but he will be called. Of course, Baham Bichakchian is a great player, great alternative. Ashak Koryan, hopefully he'll be fit. He would be starting in my team. Kerem Kadimian, I would call him and I would play him, whether it's starting or from the bench. He is very versatile. He can play anywhere from the attacking midfield up to the box. Like, he can also play striker number 9, and that's something we really need right now. Of course, if he recovers, I would play Horik Bayramian. Hopefully he will. And for my strikers, I have 3 in Sako Adamian, Tiko Parsekian, and Karabedian. If he makes it, if he agrees, like if Huracan lets him, Norberto Briasco Balekian as well. I don't think you will join, but if they give him the chance, I would call him.
We know Argentinian League doesn't stop for international breaks.
Yeah.
And I know Huracan has a game, I think like one of the same days that Armenia has a game. I highly doubt he's coming. Yeah.
He's the captain. He's their best player, their starting striker. I agree. They're not going to let him come. That's why he needs to move from there.
In terms of, you were talking about Kadimian, I on Twitter had a conversation with one of my followers, and asking about the wingers, if the winger spots are nailed down or not in the national team. And after a little bit of thinking and looking at the squads, I think that the right winger spot is totally locked down by Barserian, but the left winger, we've had 5 different players start at left wing, so it's totally still up for grabs. So it can definitely go to Kadimian, it can go to Sperțian, it can go to Bichakchian, it can go to Koryan. There's still a lot of competition for that spot, so totally still open.
I wouldn't even consider playing Sperțian anywhere except attacking midfielder, anywhere except, like, he's a central of the park player. He cannot play on the wings. We saw that in the last season. In the few games we were able to see from him before he was frozen out for choosing Armenia. He is great at number 10 role or central slash kind of a more attacking, creative defensive midfield. And that's where he
I completely
belongs.
agree. I
And
completely agree. He's probably going to be like Mkhitaryan's relief. Like I think Roma is going to strongly like tell the Football Federation in the nicest way possible to limit Henrik's minutes. I definitely think that we'll see Henrik get subbed off in all.
I wouldn't be against that.
Yeah.
And about Karimian though, the good thing about Karimian is that he, as I said, he's very versatile. Like worst case scenario, he's a sub. Like worst case scenario for him, of course, he gets to be on the bench. He can be subbed in instead of Barzeghian on the right, instead of, I don't know, whatever it's Bayramian or Koryan or Bichakchian on the left. Or he can also be subbed in up front in the number 9 position. That's what reminds me from Karimian so much to players like Tiko Barzeghian or very well Sakho Adamian as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll go ahead and do the math when they inevitably announce the final squad, and I will tweet out who was the most accurate out of the three of us.
No bets this time.
No bets this time. In a random miscellaneous news, not Armenian related, but I just want to share because I just saw it. Marek Hamšík just signed for Gothenburg.
What?
Charles's former team. Yeah. Weird. So to
What?
think that if he had stayed, he would have been playing with Marek Hamšík. That's crazy.
I told you he didn't make the right move. He didn't make the right decision.
He probably should have just stayed.
Jesus.
Anyway,
he was captain in one of the best teams in Scandinavia.
It's okay. It's okay.
Why'd you give that up?
Final part of our episode today is listener questions. We asked you on Instagram, Twitter, and I threw it up on Reddit as well, to ask us any questions that you have about Armenian football. Could be about the national team, domestic league, anything like that. And we did get a few very, very good questions that we will be answering right now. So starting off, G Momjan on Instagram asks, why should Karapetyan be our striker going into qualifying? He wants us to sell us on why Karapetyan should be starting. Let's start with Charents. What are some pros and cons? Or rather, should Karapetyan be starting?
Well, we'll bring up some stats just to back ourselves up. He's been offside 8 times in the UEFA Nations League, which shows attacking positioning. Little help defensively with 1 interception. Okay, not too much expected of a striker, especially that we don't play gegenpress. Mm-hmm. Very low number of shots per game. 2 average. Okay, this one is a little not so good for a striker.
Those are stats that G Momjan brought up when essentially trying to say like this is why he's not a good striker. But we also have other stats, right?
Exactly. So I want to counter it in a way. Well, he has 6 goals though and 1 assist in 18 competitive appearances. So 0.38 goal contribution is not really bad if you think about it.
It's one of the best in the Armenian national team of today.
Yeah. And if you think with the minutes, that's about 161 a goal every 161 minutes. Also, even an assist. So it's a contribution. So there could either be an assist from a striker, which is rare, or a goal for every 2 matches.
He's a team player.
Yeah,
he is more of a team player.
Do you guys remember Ubeymar's amazing goal against Estonia?
Yeah,
it was laid off by him.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It was. So he flicked it on the side.
I think we need to look at the other striking option that we are going to have, but I think the big question that we're going to be surrounded by is Well, one, it kind of matters what formation Kaparos plays. If he plays a 4-2-3-1 or the 4-4-2. And two, does he see Adamian as that second striker, center forward, or is he also see Adamian as just an out and out center forward with Mkhitaryan as the center forward? I think that's like that's the real big question. I think that needs to be answered, because if he is going to play a 4-4-2 with Mkhitaryan as the supporting center forward, he will likely play Adamian up top, because I know Kaparos very truly understands that Adamian is an extremely talented player that just hasn't had the opportunity.
No, his form doesn't matter at that point, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Armen, what are your thoughts?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's a tough one because there are arguments to bench Karapetyan and there are arguments to play him. At the end of the day, my personal decision would be, okay, let's have a look at Armenia's schedule, right? We have Liechtenstein first. We open against them. Then we have the toughest game in the middle against Iceland. And we close this first round, this first window against Romania, a very tough team, basically better than us, but not as good as Iceland. So we have it like that. I would play Karapetyan starting against Liechtenstein because Karapetyan is in form and fit and healthy, and he knows what it's like to score against Liechtenstein. He's gonna deliver, like, no matter what. He's gonna run. He's gonna play for the team. He's gonna deliver. And then in the second half against Liechtenstein, I would sub, I don't know, Adamian in and play him up front. And then with that form, I would start Sako against Iceland. And depending on how fit they both are, how fatigued they both are, and also throw in Tico Barzekian in the mix if you want. And then according to fatigue, you start whoever is best against Romania.
I saw like a 60. Karapetyan plays 60 minutes. Adamian plays the last 30. Adamian starts the next game, gets subbed off at 60 minutes for Karapetyan. Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. So I hope that answers your question, Jimomjan. We are going to move on to the next question. Vahe Baronian on Twitter asks, everyone is healthy. The starting 11 for the World Cup qualifiers will be? Chadens, give us your starting 11. If everyone is healthy.
Yurchenko, Chalisier, Haroyan, Hampartsumyan. Okay, Ararat or Hovhannisyan. Okay, Hovhannisyan.
Put him in a spot, huh?
Yeah, because like it depends from the game, you know. So I think in this game we need a lot of stamina in these 3 games. It's gonna be tough with 3 games in 1 week, so we're gonna need stamina. Ararat is definitely the one. But either way, I'm still playing Hovhannisyan. Midfielder. Look, I prefer to have both Weimar and Udo. Respectfully, both. I really like both. That's why I would play both of them together.
Okay.
Because for me the center defensive midfield role is really important in any kind of formation. For me, it's one of the best. It's one of the most important positions. I would have Koryan, Bichakyan, and Barserian in front, and Adamian as a striker.
Okay, so you're playing a 4-2-3-1 then. All right.
Yeah, I prefer that.
Give
it to us.
Question.
Give it to us. Just give it to us straight. Just give it to us straight. It's your starting 11.
Of course, we know what it's gonna be like in defense and the goalkeeper. It's gonna be Yurchenko starting, and for me, unequivocally, in defense, Haroyan and Chalisher my center backs, and this is just me talking. I mean, it's not gonna be the coach most times. We always differ. On the right, Hova Hampartsumyan, he's become so indispensable for us. And on the left, very well-performing Arman Hovhannisyan that I don't understand why he went back to Armenia. Hopefully, it's just a stepping stone before going abroad again. Arman Hovhannisyan, I very much like how he plays. Defensive midfield, that's when things get tough. Artak Grigorian, because I mean, if we were to play the final against Georgia as we did last season, and you don't have to think about it tomorrow, and if you gotta think like there is no tomorrow, I would play Artak Grigorian and Solomon Udo in the defensive midfielders, and then I would play Sako Adamian, of course, in one wing probably. Norberto Balekian on the other wing, and up front, or Tico Barsegian on the other wing, and up front, Balekian, and in 10, tough. No, I go back. Left.
Bro, come on.
On the left midfield. On the left midfield, Bayramian. He's
Okay.
he's European class.
course.
Defensive midfield, I stick to Artak Grigorian and Solomon Udo.
Okay.
Right wing, Tico Barsegian, and up front 4-4-2. Up front, Sako Adamian and Norberto Balekian.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, I'm getting
So-
excited just to think about that team, though.
I
Fine.
will also go with a 4-4-2 with two holding midfielders. I say, obviously, I think we're going to start with Yurchenko, followed by the center back pairing of Haroyan and Chalisier. Then we're going to have Hovo Hambarzumian at right back, and I am fairly confident set up Grigorian at left back. Defensive midfield pairing, I think. Okay. Grigorian.
as if there's no tomorrow.
Grigorian would start. I think he's proven everyone wrong. I think Grigorian would start, and I think he would be paired up with Udo.
Yeah.
Well, actually, sorry. This is where what I am gonna say differs from everyone else. Grigorian and the other central midfielder, Mkhitaryan.
Oh, interesting.
On the right,
Okay, then.
right mid right wing, Tigran Barsegian. Left mid, left wing, I would have Horik Bayramian. Up
Or-
top, Briasco Balakian and Sargis Adamian. That would be
Yep.
how I would start.
Exactly.
I would play Mkhitaryan as the ball playing central midfielder, Grigorian as the defensive central midfielder, and I would just let Mkhitaryan essentially find the inside space and give Tico, Sako,
Open the ball,
Norby,
yeah.
and Bayramian.
That
they would
attack
push.
would be. Oh, that attack
know
would
what?
be
I
insane.
Armenian managers before have tried playing Mkhitaryan at center mid, and it hasn't worked, but I think it's because it wasn't done in the correct formation. I think the last person to do it, I know Gubidalians did it once, but
Good coach. Good coach.
I know it was done earlier, but with a 5 at the back. But I know, I'm telling you guys, Kaparos is going to play Mkhitaryan as a center mid, and it's going to surprise a lot of people. I think he will do it. But anyway, we'll see. Moving on to the next question. Vahe Baronan, thank you for the question. That was awesome.
That was cool. That was
Akutakos
cool.
of Hellas Footy, the Greek
Shout
football
out.
podcast, our Greek brothers. A shout out to them.
Yes, us.
If you don't listen to Hellas Footy, give them a listen. Follow them on social media. They're a great podcast on Greek football. They're very similar to us in that, like, they're just a bunch of guys that love Greek football and talk and just shoot the shit. And if you are interested in the Greek league, they do amazing in-depth talks about the Greek league. They're very passionate fans, so it's always coming from a very good place. Follow them if you haven't. So Akutakos asks on Twitter, do you guys think Armenia could push for a World Cup berth? Armenia got a pretty nice draw, to be honest. And that got me thinking, okay, let's look at what Greece's draw was.
I agree.
Greece's
Yep,
group
they've gone hell.
includes Spain, Sweden, Georgia, and Kosovo.
Well,
So
not
for
hell, but hell.
to not like direct answer this question yet, but saying I think Greece has a pretty good chance in their
Yeah.
group to get second place. Except I heard or I read recently through very reliable sources that Ibrahimovic is going back to Sweden's national team. That might not
What
be a
the
good
hell?
thing for them. Yeah. But anyway, boys, Armen, Chadens, do you guys think Armenia could push a World Cup berth?
I'll tell you next month.
I'm not gonna jinx it, so I'm not gonna answer.
I think that's honestly, Armin, that's the same thought. If we somehow have 9 of 9 points by the end of March, my
Jesus.
answer will be completely different.
Yeah,
It's coming home.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know what kind of competition we're gonna be facing this time. I mean, I honestly thought better about Georgia last season. They ended up letting me down because even though they had pretty great players, both Georgia and actually Macedonia as well, Armenia ended up being the best collective side, and same
right.
could very well happen this time. I don't know.
Chadens, what do you think?
Yeah, I said I'm not gonna jinx it, so I'm not gonna answer really. It says, "Do you guys think?" So I think we could, but I'm still not gonna jinx, with my thoughts.
Exactly.
So
I think we could, but we'll hopefully by the end of March we will feel a lot more positive.
I just want to see standout performances from our players. That would be the least I want to see because we have talent, and most of all, we have underappreciated talent.
Exactly. So again, just like how
Just showcase
how we
Armenian
said before,
talent in Europe, basically.
even if we don't qualify for this World Cup, we just want to see promising results and we want to see progress. That's
Yeah.
what we ask for.
agreed.
Definitely. Exactly.
All right, next question. Armoram 11 on Reddit asks,
Nice name.
why does the group think our national team / youth system has a tough time developing central defenders?
Simple. It's simple. It's not just
Yeah.
our national team, youth team. It's in general. It's very tough to get defenders out. So it's a general problem, I guess. But as for Armenia, I don't really know what to answer, to be honest. What do you guys think?
I think it comes down to the Armenian mentality.
Okay.
Not that Armenia spent like its entire history defending itself, so you'd think
Literally.
you'd think we'd be good defenders, but that's not the case. I think it's the Armenian mentality. I think Armenians want to attack. They want to be the focal point.
Yeah,
they want to stand out. Hence why we have a plethora of attacking options, and it feels like no defensive depth. Armen, what do you think?
I don't think it's about that. I think it's partly and only partly because of what Challenge said, because we're noticing this tendency amongst the entire world that there are way many more offensive players than there are defensive players. But on top of that, Armenians are not usually the tallest bunch. So I think it's a matter of build and body type as well. We're most of us are relatively short and sneaky, smart, versatile, and yeah, like attacking midfield type. And that's exactly, in my opinion, that's exactly why we have so much depth in that part of the pitch. We have so many attacking midfielders, but we don't have nearly as many defenders or strikers for that matter.
Yeah, I totally get that. I understand. Well, hopefully that's something that's being addressed. I'm sure the Football Federation is addressing that and trying to get more defenders out.
Yeah.
More promising defenders. So hopefully it's something that we may see in the future. All right. Thank you, Armaram11, for that Final question, guys. Ike Daniel on Twitter asks, does the addition of Edward Spertian herald a new tradition of players with Armenian descent deciding to choose Armenia at the senior level?
Yes. But listen, we respect if they choose a different, if they choose to represent their citizenship
place of birth
country,
or
or even that, we respect that. We totally respect that. But we also are fully happy to have them playing for our national team either way. So we respect their decision.
It's even better.
Better. I think we touched on this a little bit in the last episode.
Yeah, we did.
Edward Spertian. We think that obviously because Armenia is entering a higher level of competition guaranteed in the Nations League, in the next Nations League campaign in Group B, and if we do have a successful World Cup qualifiers, doesn't necessarily mean qualifying, but I mean third place in what would be an insanely competitive group would be obviously, I would see that as an absolute win for us. And I do think it would be a little bit more incentive for these players to pick Armenia. But on the other side of that coin, I think these players also need to feel the connection to Armenia. And that's something that's been brought up on various social medias that I've been reading over the past week.
To be honest, though, and one last comment on my part, you can, not to forge, but you can build that connection, much like it happened with Ashak Koryan. Ashak Koryan basically, I mean, he still doesn't speak the language, perhaps a few words here and there, but he grew up in a very Armenian environment, and until he was left with no other choice than to play for Armenia or not play for any national team at all, he didn't really care. And now, after 1 year and 1 year alone of playing for the Armenian national team, the guy off the pitch, he is writing in Armenian for the fans. He is taking like the effort to learn Armenian a little bit even. And much of this had to do with, of course, his cousin being called for the Armenian national team a few years ago, and of course the Armenian Football Federation. And you see that sacrifice, that effort that he is putting on the pitch as well. When he goes and grabs any sort of opportunity that he can, you can build that. I mean, it's deep down in any Armenian, so you can build it. You can nurture it. So in order for that feeling to be there and to manifest itself, we have to snatch them from the other candidate, from the other national team. Of course, if they don't pick us, it's okay, but it's going to be even better if they do.
Yep, well said.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you for listening to this episode of Football Kentron. If you haven't already, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and follow Football Kentron and our own individual Twitter accounts. Everything is down below in the description of the episode. We will be coming back at you in 2 weeks' time, where we will be previewing Armenia versus Liechtenstein, and we will be reviewing the Armenian national team squad that has been released. And following that, we're going to have a lot of episodes coming out in a short space of time, because we'll be doing quick wrap-ups of each national team match that will also include a short preview of the following match. So you're going to get about 4 episodes in like the span of like a week and a half. So get ready for a lot of Football Kentron coming your way.
Football.
All right, guys. On behalf of myself, Armen, and Chadens, thank you for listening. This has been Football Kentron, and until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.